Tonight, we dive into a story that has completely shaken the Chinese entertainment world. A moment so unexpected, so intimate, and so quietly emotional that fans still can't stop talking about it. This is the story of Su Kai, Tang Songyun, and the midnight gesture that has now become the center of a wildfire of dating rumors. Let's begin. It all started after a long and exhausting filming day for their upcoming drama. The cast and crew had already packed up. The lights were turning off one by one. The staff were heading home, leaving the set in silence. But two people remained behind. Su Kai, known for his charismatic looks and gentle personality, and Tang Songyun, admired for her warmth, elegance, and the calm strength she brings into every role. The two stepped out of the studio together, walking side by side in the quiet night. At first, no one thought anything of it. Co-stars walked together all the time. It wasn't unusual. But then, something happened. A small moment, a quiet gesture, a scene that looked straight out of a romance drama. Tang Songyun had been shivering lightly, the night colder than expected. Without hesitation, Su Kai removed his own jacket and gently placed it around her shoulders, not with the boldness of a show-off, but with the softness of someone who cared. And that was the moment a fan captured. A single photo that would spread across Weibo before dawn. Tang Songyun lowered her head shyly as Su Kai adjusted the collar to make sure she was warm. The two then continued walking, close, slow, and comfortable. Fans said the atmosphere around them felt different. Not like co-stars, not like casual friends, but almost like two people who had shared many quiet moments before this one. The photo alone was enough to ignite the internet. But what happened next sent everything into chaos. Another fan recorded a short video. In it, Su Kai lightly touched Tang Songyun's arm as they spoke. And she laughed. Not the polite laugh of professionalism, but the soft kind she only shows when she feels safe and cherished. It was a side of Songyun fans rarely see. And Su Kai seemed to be the reason behind it. Comments exploded everywhere. Is this acting or is this real? Why does this look like a couple on a date? He gave her his jacket. This isn't normal co-star behavior. The chemistry is too natural. What's going on? And in the middle of the storm, Su Kai's loyal fans and Tang Songyun's supporters found themselves strangely united. Both fan bases agreed. There was something undeniably sweet in the air. But as always, fame never comes without complications. Entertainment bloggers immediately began investigating. Agency insiders refused to comment. Search engines surged with their names. And anonymous sources claimed that Su Kai had been quietly taking care of Tang Songyun behind the scenes for months. That rumor alone kept the fire alive. Meanwhile, on set, the atmosphere reportedly changed. Some staff whispered that Su Kai would check on Songyun before every take. Others said Songyun's energy lifted whenever he entered the room. But the biggest surprise came from a clip released on the drama's official behind-the-scenes channel. In the video, Tang Songyun was struggling with the windy weather during a shoot. Her hair kept flying into her face, making it impossible to keep the scene stable. Before the stylist could step in, Su Kai gently reached over and tucked her hair behind her ear. The moment was silent, natural, tender, and the internet went wild. To many, it looked like the behavior of someone deeply comfortable with the other person. Someone who didn't need permission to care. Reporters quickly rushed to ask their agencies for statements. Both sides responded with the classic line, "They are good colleagues who support each other professionally." But fans weren't convinced. Good colleagues don't behave like that at midnight. Good colleagues don't give away their jackets with such gentle care. Good colleagues don't look at each other the way Su Kai looked at Tang Songyun in that video, as if she was the only person in the world. And then, an unexpected twist arrived. A staff member who worked closely with them shared a cryptic message online. Some connections cannot be hidden. You can feel it even in silence. That single sentence added fuel to an already blazing fire. Soon after, a new wave of photos emerged. Su Kai and Tang Songyun were spotted again, this time leaving a small tea house near the filming location. It was past midnight, once again. They looked relaxed, comfortable, almost like a routine. Tang Songyun held a warm cup in her hands, and Sukai walked protectively beside her, shielding her from passing fans and paparazzi. The body language was unmistakable. He acted like someone who cared deeply. She walked like someone who trusted him. And so, the speculation grew louder. Was this a developing romance? A close friendship? Or something much deeper happening quietly behind the scenes? Insiders began whispering that the chemistry between the two was undeniable even off-camera, and that their connection was one of the reasons the production team was incredibly confident about their drama's success. Some even claimed that the midnight walk wasn't an isolated moment, but part of a pattern of quiet, late-night conversations between the two. Conversations that lasted longer than filming days. Conversations where they forgot the world around them. Conversations where two hearts seemed to find a shared rhythm. Fans started calling them the Midnight Couple. Others called them the Quiet Flame. But the truth remained hidden. Just out of reach. Just mysterious enough to keep everyone hooked. Whether this is the beginning of something beautiful, or simply a friendship misunderstood by the world, only Sukai and Tang Songyun know the real story. But one thing is certain. That single midnight gesture, the jacket, the walk, the laughter, has now changed everything, and the world is watching closely for what happens next. But just when fans thought the midnight walk and the tea house sighting were the peak of the mystery, something new happened. Something that pushed the story from rumor to something much deeper. Something far more personal. It happened on the 4th week of filming. The cast and crew were preparing for a heavy emotional scene. Tang Songyun had a crying sequence that required precise timing and deep emotional control. She was usually professional and calm, but that day, she seemed visibly tense. Some said she hadn't slept well. Others whispered she had received worrying news about a family matter. Whatever the reason, her smile was missing. And in the middle of that tension, Sukai noticed immediately. He didn't say anything at first. He simply watched her from a distance, studying her eyes the same way an older co-star would, or a caring colleague, or perhaps someone with feelings he couldn't yet express. But then something changed. During the rehearsal, Songyun's hands trembled slightly. She tried to hide it by clenching them behind her back, but Sukai saw it, and that gentle instinct of his surfaced again. He quietly walked toward her, lowering his voice so only she could hear. "Do you want a minute?" he asked. His tone was soft, not pushy, not demanding, just understanding. Songyun finally let out a shaky breath. "Yes," she whispered. But instead of stepping away, Sukai stayed with her. He didn't touch her. He didn't overwhelm her. He simply stood beside her, shielding her from the bright lights and the curious eyes around them. One staff member later said it looked like Sukai had created a small bubble around her, a quiet space where she could breathe without pressure. And then came the moment that shocked everyone on set. Songyun closed her eyes for a moment, leaning her head slightly, just slightly, toward him. Not fully resting, not collapsing, but allowing herself to soften in his presence. And Sukai didn't move away. Instead, he angled his body gently toward her, offering silent support. The cameras weren't rolling. No acting was happening. This was real. Minutes later, Songyun opened her eyes again and nodded as if she had regained control. "I'm ready," she said softly. Sukai smiled, small, warm, reassuring. "You always are," he responded. The emotional scene that followed was one of the best performances Tang Songyun had ever given. Even the director was stunned. She cried with a rawness that didn't feel like acting. It felt like she had opened part of her heart. Fans didn't know this moment happened, but the staff did. Whispers spread quickly across the set. That Sukai wasn't just being friendly, that there was a deeper level of care between them, that whatever connection people saw at midnight wasn't imagined. But the most heart-stopping event was still to come. It happened during a brief day off. Most of the cast went home. Some rested. Others caught up on errands. But Sukai and Tang Songyun, they showed up together at a small, quiet bookstore in a district where celebrities rarely visit. The owner later said he didn't recognize them at first. They weren't dressed like stars. No makeup. No flashy clothes. Just two people walking slowly between the shelves. Songyun held a poetry book. Sukai picked a travel journal. They talked in soft voices, smiling in a way that made it seem like the rest of the world had disappeared. But the moment that shook fans the most came when Songyun reached up to grab a book from a high shelf. It was just slightly out of reach. Sukai moved behind her, placing a hand gently on the shelf above her head as he reached for the book himself. Their shoulders brushed, their closeness undeniable. A customer in the store froze, recognizing them instantly. She didn't take a picture right away. She watched, trying to confirm with her own eyes what she was seeing. Then she saw it. Songyun looked up at Sukai with quiet appreciation. Sukai gave her a soft smile, one so natural, so familiar, that the customer later said it felt like watching a couple who had known each other far longer than just a drama filming schedule. That customer eventually snapped a blurred photo, and the moment it hit social media, everything exploded. The bookstore sightings, the jacket moment, the hair-tucking incident, the tea house walk. Suddenly they all connected. Fans argued endlessly. This isn't fake. This isn't coincidence. This feels real. Even gossip reporters were stunned. Because Sukai was not known for openly showing affection toward co-stars off-screen, and Tang Songyun was one of the most private actresses in the industry. So why now? Why this connection? Why this comfort and closeness? The internet demanded answers. Agencies were silent. Industry insiders slipped cryptic hints but no confirmations. And fans waited breathlessly for something, anything. But the twist came from Sukai himself. During a promotional livestream, he was asked to name the person on set who made his days easier. Most assumed he'd give a generic answer. But he didn't. Without hesitation, Sukai said softly, "Tang Songyun." He paused, smiled, and added, "She brings peace, more than she knows." The hosts were stunned. Fans lost their minds. Comment sections exploded. And Tang Songyun? She reacted in her own quiet way. In her next interview, when asked about Sukai, she gave a small smile, not shy, not forced, but warm. "He is someone who shows care through actions, not words," she said. "And it means a lot on difficult days." That was all she said. But the world heard far more in between the lines. Because sometimes the smallest admissions carry the biggest truths. So now fans are watching more closely than ever. The late-night walks, the bookstore visits, the jacket moment, the emotional support on set, the quiet, natural smiles meant only for each other. Are Sukai and Tang Songyun becoming something more? Or is this simply a deep connection forming in the shadows of their new drama? For now, the truth remains beautifully mysterious. But one thing is certain. This is no longer just gossip. This is a story of two people who seem to gravitate toward each other no matter the time, place, or circumstance. And the world is waiting for the next moment that will reveal what is truly happening between Sukai and Tang Songyun.